You are listening to Mining Stock Education.
I would just say that when we first approached Agnico Eagle, they didn't have a very good view of Committee Bay historically, and this is where I think the misconception is. And when we sat down, Brian presented not only to their team but their senior geologists, they said, wow, this is definitely worth investment.
Thanks for tuning into Mining Stock Education. I'm your host, Bill Powers, and in today's show, you're going to hear an update from our sponsor, Fury Gold Mines. You're going to hear from CEO and Director Tim Clark, as well as the SVP of Exploration, Brian Atkinson. Gentlemen, welcome back onto the show. Tim, you did it again. Ever since we've been having you on the show and interviewing you, you've been financing the company with institutions and corporates. You brought another corporate financing to the table. Could you please break this down for us?
Hey, Bill. Listen, it's part of the long-term game plan, and we've been talking about this for a couple of years. When I first joined Fury, we were able to bring in Agnico and another large U.S. institution, sort of the backstop it, and we were able to refinance the company and get it going again. But this time, they're coming in for the geology and for the upside potential that I think that this project up in Nunavut represents. We spend a lot of time with their geology team. This is not a fly-by-night kind of investment, and basically the plan is that up in Nunavut, we're a junior, and you want to be alongside a big brother, and for obvious reasons, and you're not going to get better than Agnico.
So they came in at 64 cents Canadian. That's a 23% premium to your previous day's closing share price. Can you give us any of the behind-the-scenes conversations? How did you conclude 64 cents a share Canadian?
Well, we looked at the market price, and we also looked at they asked for some warrants, so they did pick up some warrants. And I think that our share price basically is undervalued, and they agreed, and so with the combination of the two, that was the number they came up with. And it was less about the price, and it was more about I think a lot of people, not to sidetrack, a lot of investors focus on the dollar and less about the terms behind these things. And the terms are really important, whether they get a board seat or they have rights or they have a back out clause, or there's a lot more discussion about that than price. And I think that what we had asked for was we wanted to have them come in and validate what we think is potential. And I would just say that when we first approached Agnico Eagle, they didn't have a very good view of Committee Bay historically, and this is where I think the misconception is. And when we sat down, Brian presented not only to their team but their senior geologists, they said, wow, this is definitely worth investment. They also liked how we spent money. A lot of companies go up there and they'll spend $1,000, $1,200 a meter, and we're under $700. And a lot of people can't believe it, but because of the historical spend up there, we have our own drills. We have a significant camp with a lot of equipment that's already there, so it saves us quite a bit. Fuel's already up there. And in this scenario, what we said to them is, we'd like to be up there and make this a partnership, and they couldn't agree more. And their view was they're moving some of their assets into development, and they need companies like ours in the pipeline, and this is how you discover things down the road. So I mean, I don't think it's a secret. We have very close ties with Agnico, but a lot of it's because of the professional way we conduct ourselves, the way we spend our money. And we didn't push for 2 or 3 years until we were ready, and we had targets that we got from last summer that gave them a lot more confidence in what we were doing. And if you look at this asset as a Fury asset, It's got almost 160, if not more, $1 million already invested in it, and we get zero on our books for the share price. It shouldn't be that way, and clearly Agnico agrees.
Brian, so you developed the targets for drilling this upcoming summer, and then Agnico liked what they saw. Is that what Tim just shared with us?
Yeah, no, our team's done a good work, and one of the, when we initially set up the meeting, like Tim said, there was some not negative feedback, but I looked at this 10 years ago and nothing's changed, and we were able to go into that meeting and show them that our ideas and thought process on the project have changed drastically over since 10 years ago, and the targets are there. Focus on shear zones. We sort of proved that concept up in 2021 with at Three Bluffs hitting 10 meters of 14 grams and a few other hits in the shear zone. So we went out last year and we mapped that shear zone out. It's wide open, hasn't been drilled, and it runs sub-parallel to the iron formation at Three Bluffs. Very interesting. And then we've got some analogs out at Raven. Where we've got an undrilled outcropping gold occurrence on the Raven South Shear Zone with up to 33 grams per ton from grab samples. We've only collected about a dozen samples, and the lowest one's 7 grams per ton gold. So excited to get in and drill that one. And then the Burrow target, which we completely developed last year there's a regional till anomaly. We went in and tightened that up last year, and again, a nice shear zone contact between some mafic volcanics and some ultramafics, and exactly the same sort of scenario that Agnico is looking at their whale tail deposits and that. So it's sort of nice analogs, and shows that we've advanced the thinking and the targeting, and it's a good investment and definitely validates what our technical team has put together up there for sure.
So when will we see drills on site up there?
We're going to mobilize in early July. We're just kind of ticking over. We got the money now, so now it's a mad panic to get supplies organized and everything like that. Nothing we haven't done before in the past, so we're quite confident the drills will be turning probably the first full week of July. After you got the long weekend, the holidays and that, so that slows things down. But we'll get up there, and like I say, the first full week of July, drills will be turning.
So you closed on the acquisition of Quebec Precious Metals. We had chatted about that during our interview at PDAC. Are you going to be drilling some of the projects you acquired from QPM?
Yeah, we spent the last sort of 2 or 3 months, through the acquisition, and now that it's finalized, digesting those. Tim and I were at one of the projects last week, and I'll let him kind of go into that. But our focus is the Sakami Gold Project in James. It's our backyard. We know the geology well. We know how to operate up there. So we're going up to see that next week. Myself and Valerie, our senior geo out of Quebec, with Normand, the former CEO of QPM. So as soon as we can get drills turning up there, we will at Sakami. There's some really good intercepts up there, shallow, sort of open pittable grades. Very nice sort of looking. No resource on it yet, but we feel with sort of a limited input from Fury, we can come up with that. Plus, there's some great exploration targets that are sitting along the same trend. Geophysically look the same, geologically look the same. So get out and do some discovery drilling as well out there.
So how do you rank that in importance relative to Eau Claire or South Eleanor?
Look, Eau Claire is our flagship. There's no question about that. It's a beautiful resource, road accessible, close to power, and we're getting a lot of people, knocking on the doors and looking at the data on that one. So Eau Claire is great. Eleanor South is that, that swing for the fences, right? And it's, we'll be putting out the drill results from the Springs program in the next week or so. And it's interesting, right? And it's close to Dilmar. They've just made that acquisition of Eleanor South, or the Eleanor mine, and we're surrounded by, we got Sirius on the other side, so we've got over 5 million ounces surrounding that project, and there's something there, right? And we're getting closer on it. So, but you got the nice stable base, which you want with Eau Claire. You got the swing for the fences. at Eleanor South, and Sakami is a nice project. It's close to the roads, it's close to power, and it's got known gold mineralization on it that we think holds together enough to become a resource.
Tim, you also have a rare earths project that you acquired from QPM. Any update on that project?
Well, it's as Brian alluded, we were up there last week, and we were with the ex-CEO of QPM and sitting down with the First Nations as well as the communities around it. It was a pretty big meeting, and I wasn't there historically, but I think that there had been a lot of question marks and how they were going to sort of the plan and how they're going to process it. That it kind of killed the deal for a bit. My sense is that the sentiment has changed significantly. I walked away from that. It was I think it was 18 mayors and the First Nations group. Quite a bit of people, and I think the plan is to put a committee together and discuss sort of the process and what we do with it. But there's a clear interest, and what investors don't realize is, when we bought this thing, we didn't buy QPM for rare earths. It was in the deal for the gold, and I was told repeatedly it's worth zero. We've been approached a number of times to have it bought out. But we wanted to sit down and actually take a deeper look and see what it is. And, we're more excited, every time we look at it. And I believe, Brian, isn't it the largest resource with a pre-feasibility study that has not been built in North America?
Yeah, it's the only rare earth project in North America with a full feasibility study that hasn't been built. So
that's what it was. Yeah. Anyway, it's something that it's amazing when you talk about rare earth, people get really fired up, and it's exciting because it's new and different. But I think what's really fun is to work with the local communities and be a part of what they're doing. It's not an individual company; it's a group of people that they're going to have to overcome the hurdles and get some value out of it. And clearly, there is. And so I think that's another sum of the parts to Fury that's being overlooked. And we talked about this before we got on the call, how one of the things that's exciting about investing in small cap or micro cap is the fact you get these disconnects and these fragmented valuations. And this is in this kind of market, that's what's going on. And as an investor, what you should be doing is really honing in on what companies have what assets that are worth something of more than what they're showing now, because they're going to come back. I mean, the demand for gold it's now a critical metal. The demand for rare earths is only climbing by the day. And we've got, a lot of land packages, and now we've got a validation from the largest, probably best operated mining company in gold. And we're in a good spot. So, we'd love to see more interest in our share price. Agnico came in at 64 cents. I think that's a friggin' bargain. But I was happy to have them come along with us.
Tim, where does the Treasury sit? I always have to ask you this. You have shares and cash in the Treasury?
So we've got about, I believe, 11 million shares of Dolly Varden, or about 33 million US. So it would translate over 40 plus Canadian. And then we've got about 7.8 million in cash.
Okay. Any final thoughts, Brian, about what investors should expect from the drilling?
No, a busy summer, right? We'll have some overlap between drilling in Quebec and drilling up in Nunavut. And following up on exciting targets on a brand new project and a project that hasn't been drilled since 2021. So, just overall excitement, some discovery potential, some build out on things, and fully financed program in Committee Bay thanks to Agnico. So that's very positive, and we're pumped to get back up there.
I I can't tell you, having worked with Agnico over 25 years, there's none better to have as a partner. They're absolutely fabulous. They're professionals. It's not only going to be a pleasure, but it's awesome to see them validate something like this. So we should have a lot more news. I know these stocks are seasonal because of the sort of the news flow, but the goal here is to spend more money this year to keep the news flow going, and we should have some more press releases out soon.
The company's website is Fury Gold Mines, and it trades under the ticker FURY, Fury, in New York and in Toronto on both of the big boards. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on the show and providing this update.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.